Hey, Phil.
What?
They're here for the video, man.
Oh, shoot. Hey guys, glad you're here today. I wanted to talk to you all about my solar setup and how I live fully off the grid, 100% off of solar panels. So let's dive right into the details and, well, let's check it out. Well guys, super stoked to tell you about the rig and how I've been living full-time off the grid in it for about 8 months. Brian, the previous owner, had lived about 4 years in it off the grid, and it's great to be able to have a fridge and a freezer on 24/7, the water pump, lights, be able to charge computers off the inverter, have my hotspot plugged in 24/7 to the USBs, just charging all the devices, RC cars, everything. It's really great to have power off the grid. So let's dive into some details of how we attain that. So I have a 250 watt monocrystalline panel on the roof, one panel, and that drops straight down into the truck and goes right to a Epever 40 amp solar charge controller. What the solar charge controller does, it's basically like the brain. So it sends the charge to the battery. If the battery's already fully charged, it makes sure that it doesn't overcharge the battery. All of the items in the truck that are powered off DC, which is everything, the fridge runs off of DC 12 volt, the water pump runs off of DC, the USBs, the cigarette lighter, the roof lift system is all electric, runs off DC. The only thing that I use my inverter for, and it's a 1,000 watt Xantrex sine wave inverter, which is the most efficient solar inverter, sine wave. The only thing I use that for is my computer. But I really like to have a secondary power source. So that's why I have also a 100 watt Jackery solar panel, and I have the Explorer 500 power station with that as well. That power station is essentially about half of the capacity that I have in my truck. In the truck, to pair with the 250 watt panel, I have a 125 amp hour AGM battery. I would love, deep cycle of course, I would love to have a lithium, but they're a lot more expensive. That's why I love having the Jackery. The Jackery is a lithium battery, and stuffed into this power station is everything I just described. Right in here you got a big old lithium battery. You've got the inverter to run AC off of. You got USBs, you got the cigarette lighter, you've got the solar charge controller in here as well, because the solar panel is plugged in right here. So it's really quite amazing what they pack down into these little battery stations. I really like the new 100 watt panel. They changed it up from the old one. The old one had some like chintzy kind of handles on it that were just kind of rope. I don't know. This is way cooler. So these are magnets, and you go like this and it just kind of holds itself together. It's got the little back here so that you can actually stand it up without having to perch it up against a rock or something silly. So love that panel and love having the option to run stuff off of this. It's great to have two different power sources. Now, one thing I want to talk about, you don't need all this, of course. I have a lot of friends with a lot of different types of rigs. Everyone from Brian, Colorado Backcountry Adventures, who lived 4 years out of his Tacoma with no power at all. He just picked up a Jackery Explorer 500, and he's gonna do a fridge and kind of step up the game there. But he's been happy as a clam for 4 years with no power.
We'll give it back to
The Jackery. What do you think of the Jackery?
Oh man, it's a lifesaver. That's what I use to run my fridge. Let me plug this back in.
Yeah, and the 100 watt. Then there's people like Matt who build a GMC Kodiak ambulance that's 18,000 pounds with a $10,000 battery bank of 600 amp hours of lithium and 1,000 watts of panels that can run a 12 volt DC air conditioner and run a induction stove top and a hot water heater and fridge and everything like that. And then there's me. I feel like I'm kind of middle of the road. This setup will run the fridge, the water pump, like I said, everything, no problem. I have a Dometic CFX 95 in here. It's huge. This is my freezer. This is my fridge. And it's the biggest fridge I could have got. And this system runs it very well. Love having the dual zone. And love having the little pocket with pouches, have all stuff. Got my O-lights chilling here and all that good stuff. Phew. One thing I'll say about the Jackery as well, if for any reason my solar power in the camper just died or, you know, went off for some reason, which it has, and I'll tell you why. But if for any reason that happens, I can take my Explorer 500 out, plug my fridge in, and I won't lose all my food. The food is number one as far as power goes. I could turn the power off. The very close second is, well, the water in the water pump, but you don't need nearly as much power in the battery to run the water pump as you do to run the fridge. So the fridge is number one, and that's why it's great to have the Jackery. We did have a time we were mobbing down the Dempster Highway, and the wires to the solar charge controller just came loose and came out. We didn't know why, but so for temporary, you know, purposes, like I said, to make it so the food wouldn't spoil, we plugged the fridge right into the Jackery, and we figured it out later. So run the max fan here, and that's a must for cooking inside on the griddle. And I just pop one of these windows open, we get a nice breeze. Well, I think that pretty much covers the solar system on my truck here. Really stoked to share that with you guys, especially because it's been working so well for me. So drop a comment if you have any questions. Be sure to smack that like if you did enjoy the video. And you gotta be subscribed here so you don't miss any of the action from the future. If you wanna get notifications when I post new videos, tap the bell. And really the only question is, are you down to mob? Woo!